Welcome back to 5 Minutes of Momentum. Today I'm sitting in Newport Beach, in just south of LA, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm interviewing some incredible guests, and I wanted to share with you on the podcast today that it is time for you to make the ask. If I hadn't had the courage to ask and to put myself out there, this would never have been possible. And I know it feels like it's so funny being here, like just like being here in the studio, being here in Newport Beach, being in the incredible hotel that we're staying at for this event that I'm here for. But to be in the room with some incredible guests today is just such a dream, such a dream. And I just want you to know that this is possible for you too. I come from a very small country town. I live in Brisbane, and it's something that, this isn't even something that is doable here in Brisbane. Like, there is no studio like this here in Brisbane. So it's crazy to think that I've flown 14 hours across the ocean to get here. And when this event was coming up, it got to the end of the last event for the year. So there was 3 events over the year. And I thought to myself, if you don't ask, one, you'll never know whether it was a yes, is the first thing. And secondly, you're probably going to kick yourself. Like, you are going to kick yourself because you had this opportunity and you didn't take it. And so I want you to think about this for yourself. What opportunity is possible for you, but you haven't had the courage to ask for just yet? And one of the things that often comes up when I think about like what mindset blocks kind of hold us back from making that big ask, usually it's because we don't feel good enough, or we don't feel like we have enough to offer someone. So when I think about the guests that I've asked to be on my podcast, and not only today, like I'm interviewing Chris Harder today, but also I'm interviewing Laurie Harder on the podcast in a later episode. Such incredible opportunities, but what ran through my mind prior to getting the yes was, my podcast isn't big enough. I don't have a big enough audience. I don't have enough people on my social media. My email list isn't big enough. Like, what do I actually have to offer them? And, I had to overcome that. I had to reframe that for myself in order for me to have the courage to take the action. So I reframed it using some of the tools that I share in my upcoming book, Turn the Imposter Syndrome into Your Superpower. And I'm so freaking glad that I did. And I've also pitched to a few other incredible people that I got incredible responses to the emails as well, which blew my mind. So I pitched to Jasmine Star. I pitched to Lindsay Schwartz. There's a couple of other people that I pitched to that I didn't get yeses, but they also weren't no's. So I want you to know that no matter what you have to offer, there is a way that you can absolutely pitch yourself. And I teach this within my masterminds as well, because I feel like it's one of those things that we just hold ourselves back thinking we don't have enough. But when you think about, like, I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram. I don't have a massive email list. But you just never know. When you share a heartfelt ask, you just never know what is going to happen. And so I want you to have a real think about this. Like, what have you been holding yourself back on? What have you not had the courage to ask for? And how can you reframe that thought? How can you reframe the way that you are talking to yourself about the opportunity? Because you just never know. Like, sometimes you have to be like, I have to be in it to win it. Like, when you think about that Michael Jordan quote around, like, you lose every shot you don't take, right? And so that kept playing in my mind. And I was like, okay, what could I say on this email, on this pitch that would get this heard? What could I say that would put myself higher on the list for them to say yes to? And I just really thought through a personalized, intentional ask, and was so blessed when I got responses of like, yes, we'd absolutely love to do this. And I was like, really? I can't believe this. So allow yourself just to be in the opportunity. Allow yourself to ask and take the opportunity to reframe that part of your mind and ask, because you just never know what could be possible. So I just want to add to this. One of the things that has come up recently in one of my masterminds is this exact thing, like asking for opportunities, putting themselves forward for speaking gigs, going after, collaborations. And I always start to come back to, like, how do we go about this ask? What's the way that I can ask that's actually going to be beneficial? And I always try to put myself in the person they're asking shoes. So if you think about this, like, how could it be beneficial to them? And one of the thoughts you're always going to have is, well, I don't really have anything to add value here. But I want you to just go beyond that thought, because you do. You absolutely do. And the other thing is, you need to consider is the other person may not know like what you have available, and they may have never been asked this before. They may have never even considered the collaboration. And so challenging yourself to overcome that fear, because that's all it is. It's just a fear-based thought. Overcome that fear and make the ask. Make sure that you're asking from a place of one, you're personalizing it. So you're really thinking about the benefit for the other person. Because if you're coming at it from the perspective of like, this is what I want, then that's where you're going about it the wrong way. You want to go like, this is how I can add value. This is how I can serve. This is how it will be beneficial to you. And that's the way that I've done my asks this time. And this is how I also teach my clients to do this as well. Like really put yourself in the other person's shoes and go, how else could this be valuable to them? And you've got to detail it out. Don't just expect them that they're going to know or that they're going to think about it in that way, because you just never know someone's experience or whether they've even collaborated with someone before or whether they've been asked to get a guest on a podcast before. You just never know. So I think that that's one of the things you've got to really consider is like, yes, make the ask, but make sure it's personalized to the person and make sure it's heartfelt. Make sure it is something that actually shows the value of how you will add value to them. Okay. And then go and make the ask. And then when you've done it, I know you're going to have this rush of adrenaline. You're going to be so excited about it. So send me a DM. I want to hear about it. Let me know what's the big ask that you made, and I will absolutely celebrate you and congratulate you. So good.